trapped in the funhouse. It was just supposed to be a quick laugh. A group of friends, Sarah, Kevin, Mia, and James, decided to explore the old funhouse on the edge of town. It had been abandoned for years, shrouded in rumors of disappearances and ghostly sightings. But who believes in ghost stories anymore? They didn't. The moment they stepped inside, the air felt wrong, cold, heavy. The sound of carnival music played faintly in the background, but there was no one there. Just a maze of mirrors that stretched endlessly. At first it was fun, distorted reflections, funny faces. But then Sarah noticed something strange. Her reflection didn't move with her. It stood still, staring back with a grin she wasn't wearing. The laughter faded as Kevin called out from another corner, "Guys, I think I found something." But when they reached him, he was gone. No footprints, no sign of struggle, just the faint sound of his voice, muffled, like it was coming from the mirrors themselves. Panic set in. Mia screamed when her reflection reached out of the glass, its hand pressed against hers like it was trying to pull her in. James grabbed her and ran, shouting for Sarah to follow, but the hallways twisted, turning them around, leading them deeper. Sarah was alone now, her friends' voices fading into silence. She ran, every mirror showing something worse, reflections that smirked, twisted, or stared back with hollow eyes. And then, she saw him, a figure dressed as a clown, his face pale, his grin impossibly wide. He wasn't in the mirrors, he was behind her. Her breath hitched as she stumbled into a small room. There, on the floor, lay an old key, glowing faintly in the dim light. She reached for it, but the mirrors around her rippled. She could see her friends trapped inside, banging on the glass, screaming her name. The clown's voice echoed behind her, a low chuckle that sent shivers down her spine. "Go ahead, take the key. But once you leave, the funhouse always takes something in return." Sarah had no choice. She grabbed the key, turned, and sprinted toward the nearest door. But just as she unlocked it and stepped through, a cold hand grabbed her from the shadows. She screamed and the door slammed shut. No one knows what happened to Sarah and her friends. Some say you can still hear their laughter echoing from inside the funhouse late at night, but one thing's for sure, once you enter the funhouse, you never leave the same. Want more stories like this? Subscribe now if you dare. Chilling unsolved mysteries from history. Throughout history, some stories are so chilling, so unexplainable. They leave us asking the same question: what really happened? Let me take you to 1587. The lost colony of Roanoke. Over 100 settlers arrived in the New World to build a life. But when their governor returned from a supply trip, 3 years later, the entire colony was gone. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just a single word carved into a tree, Croatoan. What does it mean? To this day, no one knows. Fast forward to 1959, and we're in the icy wilderness of Russia, the Dyatlov Pass incident. 9 hikers disappeared in the Ural Mountains. When search teams found them, their tent was ripped open from the inside. Some were barefoot, others were found miles away with crushed bones, but no external injuries. And one, her tongue, was missing. Was it an avalanche, or something far more sinister? And then, there's the eerie case of the SS Orang Medan, a ghost ship spotted drifting in 1947. When rescuers boarded it, they found the entire crew dead, their faces frozen in twisted expressions of terror. The captain's log offered no answers, and the ship mysteriously caught fire and sank before it could be investigated further. Was it poison gas? A supernatural force? We'll never know. These are just a few of the countless mysteries that defy explanation. Each story more terrifying than the last. Which one do you think is the scariest? Comment below and hit subscribe, because there are so many more tales to uncover. The Whispering Room, a tale of unrelenting horror. There's a room in every town. Maybe it's an abandoned house, a boarded-up motel, or a locked basement. But this room, it's different. It whispers, and no one who hears it ever comes back. Last summer, Mia and her friends found it, room 426, an old motel on the outskirts of town. The locals warned them, "Stay out. People go missing there." But of course they didn't listen. The door creaked open, revealing a room frozen in time. Dusty furniture, a flickering lamp, and an old rotary phone. As they stepped inside, the whispers began, faint at first, like someone murmuring from the walls. "Get out!" Mia joked, laughing nervously. But then the phone rang. Kevin picked it up. He didn't say a word. He just froze. His face went pale and he dropped the phone, whispering, "They're coming." Before anyone could react, the door slammed shut. The whispers grew louder, echoing in their heads. Mia tried to scream, but no sound came out. The lights flickered, and in the dim glow, they saw them, shadowy figures crawling from the walls, their mouths moving in unison. They were whispering. The next morning, the motel was empty. Room 426, locked like it had never been opened. Mia and her friends, gone. No traces, no clues, just a dusty old phone still off the hook. And now, the whispers have started again. Can you hear them? Want more terrifying tales like this? Subscribe now, if you dare. The Basement Door, a tale of forbidden curiosity. Every house has its secrets, but this one had a locked basement door. Sarah's parents told her never to go down there. "It's dangerous," they said. But when they left her alone one weekend, curiosity got the better of her. The key was hidden in her dad's study. She unlocked the basement door and stepped into the darkness. The air smelled damp, like something rotten. Her flashlight flickered as she descended the creaky stairs. Then she heard it, a faint knocking sound coming from deep within the basement walls. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling. The knocking stopped, replaced by something worse. A low, guttural growl. She froze as the flashlight beam caught something. A figure, pale, gaunt, and impossibly tall, staring at her from the corner. Its head tilted unnaturally and its mouth opened to reveal jagged teeth. It whispered, "Why did you open the door?" Sarah turned to run, but the basement door slammed shut on its own. No matter how hard she pulled, it wouldn't budge. Behind her, the growling grew louder. When her parents came home the next day, the basement was empty. The door locked again. And Sarah, she was gone. Sometimes, late at night, they hear knocking from the basement and a voice that whispers, "Let me out." Would you open the door? Subscribe for more terrifying stories. The Haunting of Lisa's Dorm Room. When college student Lisa moved into her dorm, she was excited to meet her new roommate. But as the weeks went on, something felt off. Her roommate, Emily, was quiet and barely spoke, but every night Lisa would hear her moving around, rustling papers, opening drawers. One night, Lisa woke up to a strange sound, soft crying. She turned on the light and saw Emily sitting at her desk, back turned. "Are you okay?" Lisa asked. Emily didn't respond. Lisa got up, and as she reached out to touch Emily's shoulder, the figure disappeared, just vanished. Lisa froze. Her roommate wasn't there. The next day, Lisa asked her dorm supervisor about Emily. The response made her blood run cold. "There's no Emily in this dorm. You've been assigned a single room." Lisa moved out the next morning, but she never forgot the whispers and crying she heard every night, even when she was alone. They say the dorm was built over an old asylum. Maybe Emily never left. Would you stay another night? Subscribe for more terrifying stories. The Stranger at the Window, a tale of unseen terror. Windows are meant to keep the outside world outside. But what if the outside world doesn't want to stay out? Late one night, Jake was home alone watching TV when he saw it, movement outside the living room window. Thinking it was a neighbor, he ignored it. But then he saw it again, a figure standing perfectly still, just outside the glass. He approached the window, heart racing, and flipped on the porch light. There was no one there. But as he turned to walk away, he heard the knock, a soft, deliberate tap on the glass. Jake froze and slowly turned back. The figure was there again, now closer, staring straight at him with hollow eyes. Panicked, he locked all the doors and called the police. When they arrived, they found no one outside. But when Jake checked his phone, he found a photo in his camera roll, taken from outside the window. It was a picture of him staring out. The stranger at the window was never found, but some nights Jake still hears that knock and wonders if he'll see those hollow eyes again. Would you look outside? Subscribe for more stories that will keep you looking over your shoulder. The hotel room that watches you. Hotels are supposed to be a place of rest, but what if someone or something is watching you? Rachel checked into room 213 at the old Crescent Hotel. Everything seemed normal, but as she unpacked, she noticed the room's mirror. It was oddly placed, directly across from the bed, and seemed to have a faint smudge on it. That night, as Rachel lay in bed scrolling through her phone, she glanced at the mirror and froze. Her reflection wasn't looking at her phone. It was staring straight at her. She turned to face the mirror, but her reflection didn't move. Instead, it smiled and pointed to the corner of the room. When Rachel turned to look, she saw nothing but darkness. When she looked back at the mirror, her reflection was gone. The next morning, Rachel checked out and told the front desk about the strange mirror. The clerk paled and said, "Room 213 doesn't have a mirror." Would you spend a night in room 213? Subscribe for more stories that will make you think twice before turning off the lights. The elevator that never stops, a journey beyond reality. Elevators are supposed to take you up and down, but this one took him somewhere else entirely. Jack was heading home late one night. He got into the building's elevator and pressed the button for his floor. The elevator started moving, but it didn't stop. Floor after floor, it passed without opening the doors. After what felt like hours, the elevator came to a jarring stop. When the doors finally slid open, Jack was in a long, dark hallway. A single flickering light illuminated the numbers -13. Confused, he stepped out, but the elevator doors slammed shut behind him. From the shadows, he heard footsteps. Then a voice whispered, "You shouldn't be here." Jack turned and ran, but no matter how far he went, the hallway stretched endlessly. The next morning, the elevator was empty, and Jack was never seen again. Would you ride the elevator after dark? Subscribe for more stories that will leave you breathless. The surprising science behind the Salem witch trials. In 1692, the Salem witch trials led to the execution of 20 people accused of witchcraft. But what if it wasn't witchcraft at all? What if science holds the real answer? One theory suggests ergot poisoning, caused by a fungus on rye crops. It produces hallucinogens similar to LSD, potentially explaining the bizarre visions and behavior reported during the trials. Others point to mass hysteria, a psychological phenomenon where fear spreads like wildfire, creating chaos and false accusations. Were these trials driven by science, fear, or something darker? History holds its secrets, but science gives us a new way to look at them. Curious about more shocking truths from history? Hit subscribe and uncover the mysteries with us. Creepy unsolved mysteries that defy explanation. The world is full of creepy unsolved mysteries, and some of them are so strange they'll leave you questioning reality. Ready to uncover the bizarre? Let's dive in. First up, the Dighton Rock in Massachusetts. It's covered in mysterious carvings that no one can explain. Some believe it's ancient Native American artwork, while others say it could be a message from extraterrestrials. No one really knows. Next, the Somerton Man mystery. In 1948, a man's body was found on Somerton Beach in Australia. No ID, no signs of struggle, just a scrap of paper with the words Tamam Shud, meaning ended in Persian. Who was this man, and how did he die? It remains unsolved. And then, there's the Circleville letters. In the 1970s, anonymous letters started showing up in Circleville, Ohio, accusing locals of various crimes. Despite the police investigating and even convicting a suspect, the letters kept coming. No one knows who was behind them or why they did it. These creepy mysteries are just the tip of the iceberg. Some are decades old and others even older, but the truth is still out there. Which one do you think is the creepiest? Drop your theories in the comments. And if you love solving history's darkest secrets, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The chilling truth behind the Amityville horror. You've heard the haunting story of the Amityville Horror, but did you know it's based on real events? Let's uncover the chilling truth behind one of the most infamous haunted houses in history. In 1974, a gruesome crime shook the quiet town of Amityville, New York. Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed his entire family, 6 people, in their home at 112 Ocean Avenue. He claimed he heard voices urging him to do it. Just a year later, the Lutz family moved into the same house. Within days, they reported terrifying experiences: doors slamming on their own, green slime oozing from walls, and unseen forces tormenting them. They fled after only 28 days. Skeptics argue the haunting was a hoax to profit from book deals and movies, but believers point to the horrific crime and strange occurrences as proof the house is cursed. To this day, the debate rages on. Was it real, or was it all just a story? What do you think? Is the Amityville Horror a chilling tale of the supernatural, or just an elaborate hoax? Let us know in the comments, and subscribe for more bone-chilling mysteries and horror stories. The haunting of the abandoned building. Abandoned for years, the old building on 5th Avenue had a dark reputation. They say something still roams the halls at night, something you don't want to meet. Ready to hear the chilling tale? It all started when a group of urban explorers decided to investigate the abandoned building. Local legends warned them to stay away, but curiosity got the best of them. They pushed past the rotting doors and into the dust-filled hallways. The building had been empty for over a decade until that night. As they explored the upper floors, one of them heard footsteps above, despite the fact that the building had been silent for years. Thinking it was just a rat or the wind, they continued. But then the temperature dropped suddenly, and they saw it. An old, cracked mirror in the hallway, its surface covered in strange, smudged handprints. As they approached the mirror, a figure appeared behind them, but when they turned around, no one was there. The air grew thick, heavy, almost suffocating. They started hearing whispers, low, unintelligible voices that seemed to come from all directions. Panicked, they ran down the stairs to find the exit, but the building had changed. The door they'd entered was gone. The explorers found themselves trapped, with the whispers growing louder and more frantic. One by one, they were pulled back into the shadows, leaving only the sound of their screams behind. By morning, the building was silent once again, except for the faint echoes of those who never made it out. Some say the building is cursed. Others believe it's haunted by the souls of those who were trapped there. What do you think happened that night? Could you survive the haunting? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying stories from the unknown. The creepy truth about America's most haunted town. What if I told you there's a town in America so haunted, even the bravest souls refuse to stay after dark? Welcome to Glen Haven, Colorado, the place where the past never truly left. Ready to hear the chilling truth? Glen Haven looks like a peaceful mountain town, but beneath its serene surface lies a disturbing secret. The town's history is filled with tragedies, from unexplained deaths to ghostly apparitions that still terrorize locals today. But what really makes Glen Haven America's most haunted town? It all started in the early 1900s when a massive fire claimed the lives of dozens of families, their homes burning to the ground. But not everyone perished in the flames. Some, it's believed, were trapped in the town's abandoned buildings, their spirits unable to move on. The survivors claimed they saw shadows moving in the smoke, figures trying to escape. But when the smoke cleared, nothing. Ever since that horrific night, visitors have reported seeing the same spirits, restless, wandering the streets and old structures that have stood abandoned for decades. One infamous place is the Old Hotel, where guests have experienced cold spots, strange whispers, and sightings of a man in a top hat, thought to be the ghost of the hotel's original owner. Some even claim to hear him begging for help in the dead of night. But it's not just the hotel. In Glen Haven's lumber mill, the ghost of a worker who died in a mysterious accident haunts the site, his face appearing in windows or in the reflection of the saw blades. And there's the story of a young girl's ghost who lingers at the old cemetery, still searching for her lost family. Over the years, paranormal investigators have tried to uncover the truth, but what they've discovered only adds to the mystery. Some townsfolk say the spirits are still here, waiting for something or someone to finally set them free. Would you dare to step foot in America's most haunted town, or would you run the other way? Let us know in the comments if you'd brave the ghosts of Glen Haven. And for more terrifying stories from the unknown, make sure to hit that subscribe button. The chilling truth behind the Annabelle doll. Is the infamous Annabelle doll from the Conjuring movies real? The truth behind this terrifying legend will send chills down your spine. In the 1970s, a nursing student received a Raggedy Ann doll as a gift, but soon strange things started happening. The doll seemed to move on its own and left chilling handwritten notes like "Help me." Even worse, it appeared to attack a guest, leaving scratch marks on his chest. Terrified, the owners contacted paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. They concluded the doll wasn't possessed by a ghost, but a demonic entity pretending to be a child. The Warrens took the doll and locked it inside their famous occult museum, where it remains to this day in a glass case marked "Warning, positively do not open." While skeptics dismiss it as a hoax, others believe Annabelle is a chilling reminder of the supernatural. What do you think? Real evil or just a creepy doll? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for more eerie tales of history and horror. Trapped on the midnight subway, a tale of fear and mystery. It's midnight, the subway car is empty, and the next stop seems miles away. But what happens when the lights flicker and you realize you're not alone? Let's dive into this terrifying tale of the midnight subway. Emily had taken the late train home countless times before, but this night was different. As the train rattled through the tunnels, she noticed something odd. The car she was in was completely empty. Not even a sound came from the other compartments. Suddenly, the lights flickered. In the brief darkness, she thought she saw a shadow move. But when the lights came back on, there was no one there. Trying to shake the feeling, she turned her gaze to her phone, only to find the reflection of a figure sitting 2 seats behind her. She spun around, but the seat was empty. Heart racing, she moved toward the emergency intercom, only for the train to screech to a halt. The lights cut out entirely, plunging her into darkness. A chilling voice whispered, "You shouldn't have boarded this train." Desperate, Emily ran toward the next car, but the door wouldn't budge. She heard footsteps approaching, slow and deliberate. When the lights flickered back on, a shadowy figure stood inches away, face hidden, but its eyes glowing unnaturally bright. Emily screamed as the train jolted forward, throwing her to the floor. When she opened her eyes, the train had stopped at her station. The car was full of passengers and everything seemed normal. But when she looked at the reflection on her phone again, the shadow was still there. They say the midnight subway carries more than just passengers. It carries stories of those who never made it off. Would you dare to ride alone? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more spine-chilling tales. The worst year to be alive, 536 CE. Imagine a year so catastrophic that it plunged the world into darkness, brought famine and plague, and changed the course of history forever. That year was 536 CE, considered by many historians as the worst year to be alive. What happened? Let's dive into the chilling details. It all began with a mysterious volcanic eruption. Scientists believe it occurred in Iceland. The eruption released massive amounts of ash into the atmosphere, creating a thick veil that blocked sunlight for over a year. Historical accounts describe a fog that never lifted, temperatures dropping drastically, and the sun appearing as a dim bluish orb. Crops failed worldwide. The Byzantine historian Procopius wrote of a year without proper summer, while in China, snow fell in the middle of summer, destroying harvests and causing mass starvation. This was followed by one of the coldest decades in the past 2,000 years. But the disasters didn't stop there. The famine weakened populations, paving the way for disease. In 541 CE, the plague of Justinian struck, a devastating pandemic that killed up to 50% of the population in some regions, crippling the Byzantine Empire and altering the course of European history. Scientists today connect this series of calamities to a volcanic winter, with evidence found in ice cores and tree rings. It was a perfect storm of natural disasters that created a cascade of suffering across the globe. The year 536 was a stark reminder of nature's power to reshape human history. What do you think humanity's greatest challenge was during this dark time? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories from history.